Today's video is all about some older lake photos and fun things to do with cardstock. I'm also going to show you some techniques to use on those upcoming summer photos that you'll have in just a few months. Hi, I'm Katie Taylor at scrappinkaty.com, where I show you how to preserve your family's memories through the art of scrapbooking. I have a fun layout to share today, and I'm going to be using the Joy in the Journey special featuring our color of the rear. It is rear. It's the tail end of my Close to My Heart journey, but no, that is color of the year. And I just got this in, so I'm excited to use it. Here's a look at that sticker sheet. It's got the UV coating on some of the stickers. And then, of course, just that bold journey color. We've got some pattern paper. We've got some specialty cardstock that has that foil as well as kind of a holographic. And then some UV coated pieces, if you can see that. And then, of course, just regular journey. Probably going to try and use some of the lighter color of that. And then I am also going to be, these are going to be summer photos. So I have the summer thin cut. Of course, that's backwards, but I'm going to use that. And then I'm going to use this stamp set, but in a different way, not having anything to do with watermelons. I might use Joy in the Journey stamp set that comes with the special. And then, of course, I'm going to use the CDT 12x12 sketchbook. There's a sketch in here that I think is going to be perfect for these summer videos. So I'm going to go ahead and get some things cut, turn to that sketch, see what I need, and I'll be right back. I'm doing all the cutting off camera, but I did want to show you this piece. It is so pretty. On one side, it's got the chevrons, kind of in an ombre look. And then the other side is ombre, but it's more like watercolor. So what I'm going to do with this is I am actually cutting 2-inch pieces, but I'm cutting them where I get the full ombre effect. And so I'm going to use both of these spanning the 2-page layout. So I have 4 of these strips, and I'm going to do a different treatment to them and groups, again, because they're going to span the 2-page layout. So on 2 of these, I'm going to sand, and I'm using kind of a heavy grit sandpaper. And I am just going to sand along the edges and the whole piece. And you know, it doesn't matter if it picks up the grain in my wood top or anything like that. Y'all have seen me do this numerous times. It's one of my favorite things to do with the white core cardstock. So we've got that one, and then we're doing this one. Now I am using the light side of Journey. You can see there's the dark. I am going with the light side. You want to make sure you're on a surface that you don't mind getting sanded. So that's why I don't have my glass board out here, because this sandpaper is kind of a heavy grit and it would definitely scratch up my glass board. So you can see, isn't that wonderful? And I love this heavy grit. If you'll use it on a darker piece, I have some sapphire right here. If you use it on dark pieces, it almost looks like denim. See if you can tell on this tiny strip. See how that looks like denim? Just love that. Okay, and so see all of that dust? Here's a super neat trick for you. Just use a lint roller. You can pick it up off of your table. You could also use just a paper towel if you want. I am going to have to go wash my hands. But the good thing about the lint roller is it also will pick up all the dust that's left on your project without getting it wet. That's why I prefer the lint rollers. And these are just cheap ones that I pick up at the Dollar Tree. And basically it's just like a huge roll of masking tape. See how much dust is left on that? So the next thing I am going to do is I am actually going to spritz this cardstock. This is just plain water. And then I am going to crumple it up. And y'all have seen me do this before with leaves. Just it adds texture, mountains. I've done it numerous times on this channel. And so it is going to be really good for these lake photos that I am about to scrapbook. And you can just manipulate it any way. If you want to fold somewhere and you don't see it, you can either hurry up and do it before your cardstock dries, or after you get all the pieces in line. If you need another fold, you'll just simply spritz it again. Okay, so that's going to set out to dry. And then we're going to repeat the same process. And it doesn't need to be super wet, but you want to make sure that you're folding it all, or you're crumpling it all different kinds of ways. Not only lengthways, but you want to make sure that you are crumpling it like this. It just adds so much more texture the more you do it. And if you don't have white core cardstock, I'll leave a link down below. Or you can just use what's in your stash, and it doesn't have to be white core. You're going to get the same look, you're just not going to see the white core. And then sometimes I don't want the white core to show, so I'll do this and then I'll go over it with either a blending brush or an ink pad to add that color back. So I am going to set those to dry and clean this up, clean my hands, and I'll be back. So before I cut my title, my summer title, I'm going to actually use the Swiss dot. There's an embossing folder and a stencil. I'm going to use the stencil, and I'm going to just ink up over this journey piece of cardstock. Again, let's use the light color. And again, I'm just doing it on a scratch piece of paper so I don't have to pull out my glass board. And these little blending brushes work really well for these small holes. Now I'm stopping just shy of this line because I don't want a harsh line. Just going to kind of move it down and around. The good thing about dots also is you don't have to worry about a pattern. And you notice I have it on a diagonal, so then you really don't have to worry about a pattern. And also these are really small, so if you go in multiple directions, you'll see me kind of switch up my direction a little bit. And then we can cut that off camera. Now I did overlap on some of those, but we'll see how it looks. If not, then I'll just cut it again out of plain cardstock. Now I am going to go ahead and double up this. So I am going to fold this in half. And then just cut along that fold line. And I'm going to cut two at once, and that way if the dots don't look good, then we can just use the other. So I've got my summer title and then the dots and the light side on top, and I'm just going to run it through my die cut machine, and then we'll take a look at how it looks. So let's take a look at the biggest letter. Okay, so we might have to wait till it's on the project to see, because you can see, you barely can see those polka dots. So I'm going to go ahead and get all of these out of here, and then we may have to wait until it's actually on the project to see which one I want to use. I am going to speed up the rest of the video and show you how to assemble this layout. Now, these are those pieces of cardstock that I crumpled up, and I am tearing them. So you can see the white core on the bigger pieces. This is some of that pattern paper, that ombre, and I want to tear it where you don't see that white edge. And then I am going to do the same thing with those sanded pieces of cardstock, but then tearing to see the white edge. And you'll see here in just a second how those layers play out. As far as my white daisy layout base, I am going to just be adding some sunshine rays. They're very organic, but I'm just using a light yellow. This is lemonade, and a blending brush, and then some masking tape. And I'm just going to move that masking tape along the edge of that left side, and then just kind of ink those up. Now, usually when I do this, I do have a kind of a circle on the bottom to actually represent the sun. I didn't want to do that on this layout, so it kind of looked weird. So I decided to actually bring in some darker yellow. This is the Sundance. And I'm just going to hit a couple of pieces in between the gaps of those rays. And I think in the end, it looks a little better. It's still not really looking like I wanted it, but once I get all the photos down, it'll look better. Now, one thing about the crumpled cardstock, that water really shrinks that cardstock. So I just put my photos out there and then decided that I could cut it. So I just cut that with some scissors, and you won't see where that is cut at all. And then I'm using my Versamat to kind of line up these layers. I know that I want them to go about 4 inches up the top, but I'm just kind of eyeballing it to see exactly where. And so I've decided to put these crumpled pieces up at the top or down first. And those are about 3 3/4 inch from the bottom of the layout. And then I'm going to put that ombre piece with the darker ombre toward the center of the layout, and then that sanded piece. And you can just see where you have the white core and then not a white core and then a white core, how much dimension that adds. I am pulling out some summer embellishments as well as some blue, just so I'll have those on my table. Once I start embellishing, I can pull those out and tuck those behind. Now, I'm loving the addition of this foil diagonal stripe to the bottom of the layout, and then some of that Journey polka dot paper up at the top. And then I'm pulling out some of the borders from last month's Cardstock Carnival special. This is the Sundance, and these are just like little spikes. And I've just added a thin bead of liquid adhesive to the bottom of that polka dot paper, and then going to add that yellow up at the top. Again, kind of working with the sketch that I have in mind. I've already attached some of the photos, but this photo just had a lot of water. So I decided to kind of tuck it behind one of those layers. And then I also repeated that little technique over on the right side. You can see that 1 3x4, how it's tucked behind there as well. Now it is time to embellish with the title. So I've decided to go with the summer that did not have the stenciling on it. So I'm going to adhere down the R. And then I thought, you know, this is going to be a whole lot easier if I bring out that larger piece that it was cut from and kind of use it as a template, so to speak. So I'm just going to be adding some liquid adhesive to these letters and putting those down in the center. I am kind of manipulating that overlay just to make sure that they don't stick. These letters are really, really thin. And so it was kind of hard for me to get into that little mask. So by keeping it, my finger on the letter and then kind of using my tweezers to make sure that that can pull up still, it made it a little bit easier. Now I did remove it to do the M's. I figured the M's were easy enough to just center along that little swirl of the R. I really, really love this thin cut. There's also one that says spring, and if those are still available, I'll leave links down below. So I've used a sticker from the sticker sheet, and then I've pulled out some really, really old embellishments, and I did add adhesive to the back of these. I could already tell that the adhesive was kind of wearing off, but I've put those around those photos, and then now I am pulling out the Joy in the Journey stamp set. Now I'm using one of those as a mask, and then I'm using my 3M removable labeling tape to cover up that sticker. This little dotted circle that I'm going to be using, I'm going to ink that up in Sundance ink. And I'm just going to ink that up a couple of times, again, using those masks to make sure that I don't put that on the stickers. This is one thing I do often around here. I decide on things very late in the game. So I have to come up with ways to add stamping or anything else to the layout. Hindsight, I probably should have done the stamping first, but you know, it never really works that way. So I've done that, and then I'm going to pull out, remember I told you I was going to use this little watermelon stamp set in a different way. Now the watermelon seeds to me kind of look like splashes. So I am inking those up in Journey ink, and I'm using the second generation technique, which means that I'm inking it up, stamping it onto that scratch tape, and then stamping it onto my project. And that just gives you a lighter hue of that Journey. I did decide to go with the same little sticker for this right layout. And that little sticker says this was, and then there's 4 bullet points that you can choose from. And then there's another sticker from the sticker sheet, and that one says happiness. And then I'm going to repeat the stamping again with the dotted circle, as well as the second generation little watermelon seeds for the splashes. I'm pretty much done with the stamping, so I am going to move that to the side and take a look at the sticker sheet again. I'm loving this bold title where it says "Life is Good." And then there's another little sticker that I'm going to put under that paddle board, and I think that I'm just going to put a date maybe. I'm really not sure about that. And then I've pulled out some older dots, and I'm going to be using the Sundance circle ones. There's large, medium, and small circles. And then the little tiny circles I'm actually going to use to select the little bullet point. So up at the top, I made it where it said, "This was so funny," because our oldest son, you can tell by his face, he was not happy. And then the one on the right layout, I put it where it's going to say, "This is so sweet," because our daughter fell asleep with my husband paddling her. You know, she was at the age where naps were a thing, but I just thought that it was so funny that she was all gung-ho, and then all of a sudden he was trying to get my attention, and I looked over and she was just knocked out on his lap. As far as my journaling goes, I pulled out my Versamat and my T ruler, and I'm just using that to make some 3/8 inch journaling lines with a journaling pen. And I'm going to repeat that up at the top of that right layout as well. And then I am going to just kind of glue down these little borders. One thing about crumpled cardstock is it's really hard to glue down with tape adhesive. So I'm going to just tack down the edges with that liquid adhesive. You could also use glue dots. So I have some extra photos that I want to use, and so I'm going to be using basically like a little memory protector in the center of this layout to add those. But I need, I don't have enough photos. There's 4 photo wells to this. So I'm using some more of that crumpled paper as well as the sanded paper. That's the Journey cardstock. And I've added that to that ombre one. And then I'm also going to add some of that polka dot to bring that in. And then I didn't have any more of that same border in the Sundance, but I do have this scallop. So I'm going to add that. And then I'm going to bring out one of the sentiments from that watermelon stamp set. And this one says "Happy Summer." And I thought that that was fitting. And then on the back of this little card that I made, I am going to add some of the journal strip stickers. Now I'm trimming these down to 3.5, and I'm using the 3/8 inch. So it'll kind of match the journaling lines that I've already drawn on the layout. I am going to attach these to that little 3x4, kind of stagger them, and then bring out that sticker sheet once again. And I'm going to choose a sticker that says "Cutie Pie," because this is actually going to go on the side of the layout where she is asleep. So you can see this is the memory protector. It's got 4 slots for 3x4 photos. So I'm just backing 2 of those and then going to add this little journal spot and then go ahead and add the other 2. Now, for some reason, I was thinking that there were only 3 slots, so there are 4. So I'm going to have to print some more or kind of make a shaker or something like that to go in that 4th one. But that is how it is going to look in the layout. Now here I want you to just see all the texture of that crumpled cardstock as well as the white core tear and that like stenciling. You can see here again the crumpled and then just that white core and how some of those photos are tucked behind there. Here are some close-ups of that layout. Again, reminding you fun things that you can do with your cardstock, and then some other things you can try on your summer layouts that are going to come up very soon. Summer is sneaking up on us. Don't forget to check the links down below if you want to shop any of these products. And if you aren't already a subscriber, hit that subscribe button and sign up for notifications so you'll be alerted the next time I post a crafty video. Thanks so much for stopping by and watching. I hope y'all have a wonderful weekend.